These are the best practice techniques for playing fast passages. If you haven't met, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a violinist and teacher. I've been playing the violin for over 20 years. I have my bachelor's and master's degrees in violin performance, and I am Suzuki trained currently through Book 7. If you're enjoying my videos, please make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I can't tell you how much that helps me. And if you're someone who has been trying to learn the violin for a while but are just lacking structure and a clear plan to take you from point A to point B, consider joining the waitlist for Learn Violin Online. Enrollment will be opening up on March 25th, and there's a couple of new options in this launch. First, everyone will have a chance to try Learn Violin Online completely free before committing, so you can truly see if it's going to be a good fit for you. And second, there will be a lifetime option. I know that everyone has enough subscriptions nowadays, so there will be an option just to make a one-time payment and then have access to the program for life. Be sure to sign up for the waitlist so you're the first to know, because spots are limited, and you'll get a special freebie from me. The link is in the description. Playing fast is hard, but it's also one of the things that makes the violin so beautiful and virtuosic. Let me say first and foremost that developing speed, playing faster, definitely comes with time and experience. But there are several things that you can do in your practice to help speed this along. Get it? Speed. You've probably heard the phrase, if you can't play it slowly, you can't play it quickly. And while yes, this is true, it is important to practice slowly, there is one specific caveat with this advice. When you're playing slowly, you need to mimic the conditions of playing it quickly as best as you can. So, what does that mean? Well, if I'm playing a passage quickly that I want to use just a little bit of bow on, which is honestly a lot of fast passages, then when I'm playing slowly, it wouldn't make sense to use my whole bow, right? Sure, I might need to use a little bit more bow than I would if I was playing faster, but I want to try to minimize my bow usage to keep the conditions as similar as possible. Another example is if you are not going to be vibrating in this passage, because it does go very quickly, you do not need to vibrate while you are playing slowly. Vibrato can honestly sometimes distort your intonation, and you don't want to practice it one way, get used to playing it one way, and then have to change it when you're trying to go faster. So think about exactly how you're going to play the passage when it's fast. Where in the bow are you going to be? How much bow are you going to be using? Are you going to be vibrating? And do those exact same things when you're playing slowly. The second thing is to keep your fingers as close to the string as possible. When you're playing extremely fast passages, every millisecond counts. So the closer you're able to keep your fingers to the string, the faster you'll be able to play. Another major factor in playing quickly is the amount of tension that you are holding in your body. If your left hand thumb is squeezing, if your left fingers are pressing the string down very tightly, if your bow arm is tight, these are all things that are going to slow you down. I think it's also important to be aware of tension in other places in your body as well. When we think about tension, sure, we think about our left hand and our right hand, but what about your jaw? What about your neck? What about your knees? Identifying and releasing this tension is without a doubt going to allow you to play faster. One of my favorite practice techniques for reducing tension, specifically in my left hand, both my left hand thumb and left hand fingers, is to play with harmonic pressure. So instead of playing the passage like this, I will play it like this, so that I am not pressing my fingers down into the string at all. I'm just lightly laying them on top of the string. Yes, it produces a weird, sometimes squeaky sound, but that's really not the point of the exercise. The point of the exercise is to release tension. One of the best practice techniques for fast passages is practicing in rhythms or practicing in groupings. You can think of this as interval training for musicians. If you're familiar with interval training for athletes, essentially they will go really hard for a short amount of time and then rest. So for this practice technique, start with groups of 2 notes. I also like to ignore the bowings, so I'm not going to do any slurs, even if there are slurs written in the passage. I'm going to play those 2 notes as fast as I possibly can, and then I'm going to rest. While I'm resting, I'm going to mentally prepare for the next 2 notes. The trap that I am definitely guilty of falling into, and I know many others are as well, is to try to fit this within a rhythm. The pauses or the spaces between your notes do not need to be the same length each time. If you need a little bit more time or a little bit less time to think about it, that's 100% fine. The most important thing is that you mentally prepare the next 2 notes before playing them. The next step would be to play in pairs again, but opposite pairs. So to do this, you would start with just 1 note by itself and then play pairs after that. Then you can do the same thing with groups of 3 and groups of 4. You can of course do 6 or even 8 if you wanted to, but then it gets a little bit tricky. Another great practice technique for fast passages is isolating the hands. When you think about it, if you take one of your hands out of the equation, you're essentially making that passage easier by 50%, right? Because you don't have to worry about 50% of it. So you can just practice the fingers by themselves. You can also do this with a metronome to make sure that they are moving at the speed that you'd like them to. And then you can do the same thing with the bow. For the bow, you are just going to be playing open strings. So I know that can be a little bit of a brain teaser at first. So if you need to take it slower and then gradually work up to your tempo, that's totally fine. I think this technique is especially great for passages with a lot of string crossings so that you can make sure they're clean. Another great practice technique for fast passages is to practice the passage faster than you actually need to play it. And now I know what you might be thinking. Well, Megan, I can't even play it at the speed that I want to play it at yet. How can I play it faster? So when you are playing it faster, the goal here is not necessarily to play it beautiful and perfect and absolutely love how it sounds at that speed. It's just to push you outside of your comfort zone and push your limits. So by playing it faster than you're comfortable with, sure, it might be messy, sure, it might be out of tune, you might miss some notes, whatever. After you do that, when you go back down to your goal tempo, it won't seem so fast. It'll seem a little bit more manageable and you'll have more time to think and it'll be easier to play it at that tempo. And finally, it's important to manage your expectations. If you are playing a piece that is extremely hard, it's at the very top of your ability level, you most likely will not be able to play it at full speed on your first learning. Even when I was in college, like getting my master's degree, I was playing the Korngold Violin Concerto, and I don't think I could ever play it as fast as the professionals, and that's just something we have to live with. So if the piece is already extremely difficult at a moderate tempo, it's probably not in your best interest to try to crank up the speed just yet. Focus on your technique and playing it well at that moderate tempo. If you really want to work on your speed, play pieces that are about 50 to 60% of your ability level. So for example, if you're playing a piece in Suzuki Book 4, try a piece at the end of Suzuki Book 2, and you should be able to play that at full speed. What do you find hard about playing fast? Do you have any questions about practice techniques for fast passages? Leave a comment and let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed and check out Learn Violin Online.